I want to take a moment to talk to you about a new journey that I have started that's actually a repeat of an old journey I did 20 years ago with some friends of mine back when we were in our early 40s. We were all young. Some of us had families, some of us had young kids, some of us had kids in school, some of us had 0 kids. Didn't really matter, but we were all kind of trying to find our lost selves, if you will. Because life got busy and we all were in very weird places. So we decided to do this little book called Life Makeovers. I talked to you about this before. You can find the link to this book in the description below. We did it in 2005. So during the week of my post-eye surgery recovery, I looked at the book again briefly because I could barely see anything, but I still had the book all these years and I still use some of the principles I discovered from the book, even now, even without doing the book or the projects or the challenges within the book with anybody. So I decided to send a picture of the book to one of my dearest and best friends in the world, say, hey, you remember this book? And she was like, yeah, I still have it. And I'm like, I'm thinking, maybe it might be fun to do it again. Be a great distraction for numerous reasons. And also might be interesting to see how we approach the challenges, the weekly challenges that this book offers us every week. So the first part of the book, you just write down everything that you've accomplished, over 25 things. You pick your top 5 things. You pick 3 areas where you think you have grown a lot. And honestly, that was the hardest part. Coming up with accomplishments, coming up with the top 5 things was easy. Coming up with the ways that I had grown was a little bit more difficult. Without going into great detail for everything, I can say that I grew as a writer because I kept writing even when it was really, really hard to get up to do it. Like, it was a challenging year for me last year, but I managed to finish a few books, start a new book, and get a couple of books out there. So that was great considering everything that was going on. Second challenge that really stood out for me was finding your lost self and figuring out what to work on in the upcoming year, what quality within myself to build in the upcoming year. And the book gives you lots of different suggestions, like being more kind, being financially responsible, being all of these different things, being more loving, being patient. I never ask for that because I'm never going to be patient. I'm trying to be better, but that's the way it is. Being open-minded, being proactive, being courageous, fearless, and bold, being trusting and faithful, whole 9 yards. So 20 years ago, I chose being courageous, fearless, and bold. And then my thing was, I enjoy being courageous, fearless, and bold. And then you had to come up with 3 action plans to do that week, every week for 52 weeks, to prove that you were trying to attain that quality to yourself mainly, but also to the group with which we were communicating with via email all these years ago. So I hemmed and I hawed with it, and I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know about, I tried a couple of different ideas, and I was like, none of this was ringing. And then I went back to my original. Because the first time I wrote that down and worked on that, I wrote my first book. I started querying. I started learning how to write better. I dealt with rejections, many over 8 years. I met other romance writers. I joined romance writer groups. I just grew as a romance writer, as an author, and I found my path because of doing that. So I debated it and debated it and debated it, and I thought, well, should I do it again? And it really just stood out for me that yes, I can do it again now at 62. Well, at the time I was 62, now I'm 63. I can do it again because I have different things I want to pursue that will require me stepping out of my comfort zone and also require me to do things that I've never done well before, if that makes sense, or at least try new things. So my affirmation for the year ended up being, I enjoy being courageous, fearless, and bold. And then my first 3 actions for that week were that I was going to wear my get out the vote pin every day, everywhere I could go, because I am a volunteer deputy registrar, because the state of Texas does not let you register to vote online. So I love letting people know that this is a big right that you have. I became an American citizen specifically so that I could vote in this country. So it's important to me that people vote. So I'm wearing my vote buttons everywhere I go. I have a couple of vote t-shirts, and I also participate in some voter registration drives and behind the scenes. And then another thing was to do a YouTube video, edit it, and upload it. And to map out little book libraries, and weather permitting, I take books and drop them off in the libraries, and I videotape that and upload that. Well, I managed to do all of that. Then my next goal next week I looked at it again and I'm like, well, what's a really weak area for me? And it is marketing. Ask anyone. I've thrown money away trying to sell my books. I'm not good at Facebook ads. I've taken course after course after course. I've gone to different video workshops. I've gone to in-person workshops. I love writing stories. I hate trying to sell them. I got to get over that to some extent. Also, I'm on a budget. I am not, the top of the line author with $1 million gazillion dollars. And even if I did have $1 million gazillion dollars, I wouldn't know how to spend it anyways. Maybe a little bit better covers. I don't know, but I think it's what's between the covers that really matters. So little romance writer pun there. So I decided to pursue it a little bit differently. So some of my action goals were to listen to a video webinar about how to build a business plan that's tailored for me with my resources, not anybody else's, and just to see if I could start extending reach again. I realized to my utter shame that I had not been in my street team since March of 2025. Lots of reasons for that, but I digress. And I haven't done very many newsletters because unless I have a book to sell, why am I writing to you? But I decided that was silly. At least let people know I'm alive. I haven't dropped dead yet. Thank God. I'm focusing a little bit more on that. And also there are new things I want to try that require me being a little more courageous and stepping out of my box. And I'll share those with you later. I think when I go to Puerto Vallarta in a few weeks, I want to try snorkeling. I have never snorkeled in my life. I want to try paddle boating because I've never tried that in my life. And that's 2 new things. And I think the physicist and I want to go zip lining at some point. We'll see how that rolls. We're skinnier now, so maybe we can do that. But I wanted to talk about the concept also of being courageous, because when you're courageous, it doesn't mean necessarily that you're super courageous and you're going to do all the things and you're just naturally brave. I think Teddy Roosevelt said it best. I'm probably paraphrasing him greatly, but courage isn't the absence of fear. It is feeling the fear and doing it anyways. And that's really largely what a lot of it is. And the more you do these kind of movements towards pushing past your fear, the more confidence you will gain, or you'll look more confident. People think I'm way more confident than I am, and I'm really not that confident. I exude it, maybe. I don't know. I feel that that's very important. And also I think it's really important for people to understand that what is courage for one person is very different for another person. What is stepping out of your comfort zone for one person is very different for another person. For instance, sometimes just having the courage to get out of bed every day and face a day, no matter what it brings, is a lot of courage for one person. And I know I've had those days. I've had those days where I've laid in bed and I've been like, I don't know if I want to get up. I don't know if I want to face what's coming today. But I get up and I face what's coming today. It's hard sometimes, but I do it. So it's not like you're going to be like jumping out of airplanes or bungee jumping or suddenly becoming like this mountain climber. Sometimes it's in the smaller deeds that you really develop the courage that you need to do the bigger deeds that you need to do to be more courageous, more prolific in making your life solid and strong. At least that's my position on it. In looking toward finding my courage, in addition to doing fun new things, I also needed to revisit the marketing thing. So I made myself a little business plan. That's new. That was on my action plan. Made myself a little business plan based on what kind of money I have to spend, which is not a lot. Thank you. Please buy a book for me. Ha 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 ha. Based on what my strengths are and based on where I think I can reach people the best with myself and not just with my books. So I'm building on a few key areas there, and I'm going to just revisit it very slowly and carefully, because the other thing I don't want to do is lose the joy of writing again. Last year, looking at my sales dashboard was really, really depressing, and I did not want to write because I was like, why am I doing this? It's, I could work better for quarters per hour probably, but whatever. So I needed to regain my joy in writing first, because ultimately for me, it takes a lot of courage just to sit in a chair and write. Ultimately for me, if I don't write, I don't have a book, I got nothing to sell you. Ultimately for me, I don't care how many books I have out there. I still have 34 behind me, 35 behind me now. I don't even know how many at this point. I'm not as prolific as some authors, but I am prolific enough. And I have other stories that are out there that have been out there since 2014. Yeah, I got my contract in 2015. 14, and 2015. 2013, I sold. I was 50 years old. Guys, never say it's too late to do something. I sold my first book, got my first contract the year I turned 50. It came out when I was 51, a year later. So that would be 2014. So I've been doing this for 12 years, and I read about all the successes of people like, oh, we just did this for 3 or 4 years and now we're making millions of dollars, and then they're selling courses on it or whatever. And I'm like, yay, bully for you. I'm not that girl. Partly because I have other hats that I wear. So it's not my number one priority. It's very high, but it's not number one. And now that I'm in my 60s, the first priority I have is taking care of my health. If I don't have my health, I have nothing. If I don't have my health, I can't sit in a chair and write. If I don't have my health and my husband doesn't have his health, I don't have a couple. I don't have a person with me. And I want to keep my person alive for a very, very long time. He is 10 years older than I am, and we want to enjoy each other for as many years as we can. And that means taking care of our body. So that's a priority number one. But number two is I still love to write. And number three is I'm trying to find ways to connect with readers that is more like organic and honest and real and authentic to who I am. I don't go to readers' conferences because nobody's coming to buy a book from me. They're coming to see the top of the line authors. I'm just lucky if I get some of their glitter on me for a day. And that's great. I used to do it and it was a lot of fun, but I'm not getting a return on my investment. So I'm trying to be very old school about it. And so that's why the little book libraries, the little free libraries, that's why we've been doing that. I drive around with books in my car, in the back of my car, signed with an autographed sticker to give away. They're older books, either with older covers or second, third, fourth, fifth in a series, whatever. And I just take them with me. And if somebody asks, I'm very bold. I say, oh yeah, I'm a romance author. Oh, what do you write? Or they'll say, a person will say, oh, I don't read those. I'm like, that's great. It's not for everybody. Or they'll say, what name do you write under? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Christine Glover. That's my name. And that's what I write under. I'm very proud of being a romance author, a contemporary and romantic suspense author. So I say that. And then I also have a book. Hey, if you want a book, I got a free book here for you. It doesn't cost me hardly anything to get them printed. Here you go. And if they like it, please leave a review, because it's really hard to get reviews, but I don't push that. I'm like, just enjoy the book, pass it on. And I put a postcard in there with a QR code that leads to all my books on Amazon. And if they like the books, maybe they'll read the Kindle versions, which is where the bread and the butter is for us, for me anyways. That's what I've been doing. And the other thing I want to do is connect with other readers in a more, hey, I got into this gig because I like reading. So let's read together. Let's find a way to do it. And also, I'm looking forward to maybe finding a way to connect with aspiring writers, people who think they might want to write, people who are already writing, and trotting out some of the old workshops I used to give in person. And a few of them are on my old writing channel that I had here eons ago now. In 2020, I started a YouTube channel about learning to write. I just dumped it because it was in the middle of a pandemic and I had nothing interesting to say. And now, in terms of that, there are very much more savvier people than me out there doing very professional, sleek YouTube videos and podcasts, and they're younger, stronger, faster. They're like panthers and I'm like an old lion. I'm a lioness. I'm like, I don't have the energy for that. But I do have something to share, and I feel like I do it much better if I'm in person or even here on YouTube very casually doing it. But I'm not the expert of everything, nor do I pretend to be. But pursuing I enjoy being courageous, fearless, and bold is helping ground my actions for the week in a very good way. And I really am glad I chose to do that again, because right now, in these days, I feel being courageous takes even more energy than it ever did even in my 40s. I feel like being courageous isn't just a woohoo, you're out there doing things. I think it's also facing yourself in the mirror and going, well, this is an area of weakness. This is an area where I can still improve. This is an area where I'm feeling happy. This is an area that I'd like to share about. This is an area that I'd like to pursue more as a human being. And this is an area where I'd like to plug in more to help other people get to achieving what they need to achieve where I am right now. So being courageous, fearless, and bold. So being courageous, fearless, and bold is my theme again for this year, 20 years plus later. But I believe by pulling that out again and looking at it with different eyes, with an older brain, with whatever, I think I can make this year better for me and maybe for other people too. And before I go, I just want to leave you with one thing that I have on my wall. I read it every day in the morning, and I keep it there for a reason. Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And that's Winston Churchill. Powerful words in his day, and still powerful words today. It is the courage to continue that counts. As we move forward into 2026, as human beings, no matter where we live in the world, are dealing with all the different challenges that are coming our way, whether they be big, small, or whatever, because I believe that pain is relative, I hope that you can carry that quote into your day. It is the courage to continue that counts. And sometimes the courage to continue that counts means just getting up, facing the day, and going through the day in the best way you know how, without judging yourself, without being cruel to yourself, without putting undue demand upon yourself to do anything more than getting up out of bed and facing that day. Some days it's that kind of day for me. Not many, but some days it is. So remember that. Carry it in your pocket. Winston Churchill's quote, success is never final. Failure is never fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. I hope you have a wonderful day. If you have anything to add, please drop some stuff in the comments. Please like me. Please, put a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. I'm not trying to make a big following out of this. I'm just enjoying this process and sharing with people, however many there are. And I hope that in some way, if I can touch your life in a positive way, in a positive manner, then I feel I've done it, whether I've touched one person's life or a million people's lives. Wouldn't that be fun? Have a great day, everyone. Ciao.